So let me ask you this: you had mentioned the high cost of production on these products. Realistically, do you expect that you're going to introduce any products in the near future?
I could. I mean, I'm a very creative, innovative person. I have things, on the books in my mind. I have concepts. I don't know. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, and these things take a commitment of time and money to develop.
Sure do. They sure do.
Again, as I say, if my hope was kind of like if I would have had somebody that would have said, "Hey, I like what you're doing. I'll back you. I'll help you get these products on the market, whatever, the right way." Then okay, that's fine, because I'm a techie. I'm a tech person. And if you know anything about technical people and creative and innovative people, they like to get their hands in there, they like to create and everything like that, but they're not necessarily good at marketing and doing all the other things that it takes to get that product out there on the market and make it successful. And those are the things that I lack.
Yeah, but there's a difference, Joe. At least you realize that. There's some people we've seen, I'm not going to go into names, they don't realize that. And there's things that they had great ideas, but they just couldn't grasp that they needed to introduce, say, something that might have appealed to the mass market or keep it as a limited production item.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, and this is a good example with the Patriot meter. I don't like to do things halfway. I like to do things the best that I can. So when I designed that meter, I picked quality components. I could have bought cheaper switches. Some of the switches cost me $8 and $9 a piece. I could have put, $1.50, switches in there and cut costs. Some of the components, the accuracy is to 0.1%. Extremely accurate. Now, part of the problem is when you build one, it costs a lot of money. You build 10, it's a little bit cheaper. You build 10,000, the price drops quite a bit. So, that's the other thing. If I had, a factory or somebody that could produce these in quantity, instead of selling them at $295, maybe they would have been $159.
That leads me to my next question. You see so many consumer electronic products today. All the production is now shifted to China. Would you feel that on a specialty, and I would see there would be big concerns on quality, would you see that, say, somebody could farm out a product, a metal detecting product, a quality one that would go to China? Do you think that that's possible?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's not happening today. I mean, I don't know, but it would seem likely because everything else is headed that way. And honestly, their quality is coming up. I mean, a lot of their products, and not just, electronics and that, they're making some pretty darn good stuff.
I mean, even years ago, I know that White's advertises like made in USA, but actually, I believe somebody had told me that some of their electronic components actually were manufactured overseas.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I bought a number of things off of eBay that were manufactured in China, offshore, And one of them, for example, was a little MP3 player that plugs into my cigarette lighter and broadcasts to the FM radio. That thing works fantastic. And with shipping, it was less than $10. How do they do it?
Yeah, That's it.
Yeah. So they are capable of building
Joe,
some quality.
We covered a lot of territory, but I know that you had some associations with the Detectorist and Research Secret publications. I wanted to ask you about that.
Detectorist is a book written by my really good friend Bob Sickler. Bob and I have been like brothers practically for the past 20 years, ever since we met. I mean, we have a lot of things in common. We're both musicians, same type of personalities, both creative people. So we became really close friends. And back at some point in time, I think maybe around the mid-90s, in one of the conversations, I said to Bob, he's such a great writer. He's written fantastic field-tested articles for the different magazines. I said, Bob, you need to write a book. And he was kind of reluctant at first. What can I say that I haven't already said? I said, no, Bob, really. I mean, you have a real loyal fan base out there. People love your articles. I said, you need to put a book together. And eventually he did. He went on to write Detectorist, which has been very successful. I think it's currently in its maybe 9th or 10th printing.
That's right, yes.
probably, I'm not just saying this because he's my friend, probably the best how-to book ever written on metal detecting. Just a very good book.
Well, coming from you, that's quite an endorsement.
No, thanks.
Absolutely. But Joe, you've told us about your experience in metal detecting in the 70s, 80s, 90s. What is detecting to you today? What is it like, and what do you see for the future, for the hobby, and for yourself?
Well, a lot of coins and artifacts have been found, and once they're found, they're never going to be found again. So the easy glory days of metal detecting, for the most part, I think, are over. Today, it comes down to doing the right research, having the right equipment, getting on the right spots. That's what it takes today to be successful. You're not going to walk onto any obvious place today and find, a lot of items like you used to. The parks have been hunted to death. Most of the schools have been hunted. All those obvious places. So you need to do your research. You need to find places that are off.
Well, it's kind of like we said, the road less traveled.
Yeah, exactly.
But what's your views about? I know today, and it's promoted by a number of metal detector manufacturers, that more deeper seeking machines, like we talked about earlier about the pulse induction. I know there's a metal detector made in France. People are going on that they're able to go back to these parks with these machines, and they're finding coins. But at the same time, what's your view that these machines, I mean, even the lower end machines that these people are using, you're talking like $2,500.
Yeah, they are quite expensive. However, they do many times give you an edge, better discrimination, better depth. So yeah, you do get something for your money. However, it doesn't make sense in some cases to take a detector like that to a place that only has coins 5, 6, 7, 8 inches deep. You could possibly do as well with something for a lot less money.
Exactly.
But everything has its place. I mean, you have to just take it to the right place, use it the right way. So believe me, I am not against technology. I love it. Some of these new products are just fantastic. But don't discount what a basic metal detector can do too. With somebody knowledgeable on how to use it and taking it to the right place.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I agree with you. But if somebody were to say they're just a coin hunter and they're hunting these parks, to me it would seem that it's overkill. They're using a $3,000 machine where they could be using, say, a $500 machine.
Yeah, I mean, I use both. I mean, honestly, I have an old pillar metal detector that I still use with pretty good success. It all depends on the type of detecting you're doing and where you happen to be on that particular day. They all have their pros and cons.
That's right.
And honestly, some of these top-end detectors taken to the right place can open up another layer or two of old coins because they do go deeper or they discriminate better.
That's true.
But again, that's where knowledge comes in. That's where experience comes in. And it's just like you take a fantastic guitar player. He can make a cheap Sears, $200 guitar sound great.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing with equipment. You pay your dues, you read, you educate yourself, and you become knowledgeable about equipment and detecting, and you can do well.
But by the same token, if you're a occasional hobbyist, and you're only going to be out there maybe a few times a year, that would seem to me to be foolish to spend $3,000 on.
I agree. Not only that because of the price, but the learning curve.
Exactly right.
You want to turn on and go very basic detector for that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It would take for these machines in that price range, the high price range. There's a high learning curve on a lot of those machines, and by the same token, people that have the lower priced machines or an occasional hobbyist, they'd have to realize that they're not going to go out and find these fantastic finds like you might see on some of these television shows.
Well, yeah, that's a problem too. I mean, although a lot of the shows are entertaining, I think some people just they see that it's very attractive. It is fun. It's attractive. It's interesting. It looks like something for nothing. You go out and find free coins and free gold rings, and But the reality sets in after a while if you're not dedicated. If you don't want to put the commitment and the dedication into learning about the hobby and learning where to go and learning the equipment, pretty soon you see that detector into classified ads. You know, it's just not going to work for them.
Yeah, I think a lot of these TV shows are very misleading too. Like you said, it's entertainment, is what it
Well,
is first.
it is. It's entertainment, but there is some educational.
There
content,
is, but on these true relic hunters like myself, and then yourself being a coin hunter too, and Roger being a relic hunter, most of the stuff they're using out there it's fake stuff. I mean, they're reseeding some of this stuff. A lot of it's seeded. I mean, there's some of it's not, but most of it is. Because was that big guy Savage or whatever his name was, and then they go someplace and they dig up this Rick Savage and this big blade and they set up these barrels. Anybody that knows has been out there in the cold, like how we are in northern Pennsylvania, that's not going to melt snow and
that
ice.
was
like
the episode on Alaska.
you know, to dig that on Alaska.
I suppose there's a little bit of literary license where you got a production crew and a filming crew out there. I mean, I don't have a big problem with some of that because it is entertainment. It's
Yeah.
But one of the things that really bugs me about a lot of what I'm seeing, on the internet and on these shows and everything, are these guys that are taking shovels now and they're going into parks and manicured places.
Yeah.
Any place, in my opinion, that is a lawn, someplace that they're mowing and taking care of. You don't want to go in there with a shovel.
No,
you don't need it.
No.
That if you're into relic hunting, you're out in the woods, you're on a farm field or something like that. That's fine, no problem. But that trend keeps increasing, and I don't see that as being good for the hobby.
No, I agree with
Yeah,
you.
I agree with that. I agree. I think also it would probably encourage these people to trespass. And for people like ourselves that would go to these property owners, they're going to think it's like Savage's show and that we're going to be looking to find a fortune out there, and they want paid. The reality is you might find a button that's worth $2. And we're really in it for the historical aspects.
I guess all we can do is wait and see what happens. I mean, it's bigger than we are. You don't know what people are going to. You can't control people. You don't know what they're going to do. I mean, myself, I've always tried to be very honest, and I'm kind of low key and all that. And that's what I try to encourage people. To do it right. I've showed a number of people how to get into the hobby and how to retrieve targets the right way. And,
Right.
I think that's really, the only way to go as far as I'm concerned.
Your book, in a way, was a how-to book. I've actually got it at home, and it's autographed by you. I treasure it very well. Roger actually saw it too,
Yes.
but that was like a how-to book on
Yeah,
how to do a lot of this stuff.
But that's my personality.
Yeah.
Again, I'm very technical. I'm very,
Right.
I like to educate people and how to and help people, and so
that's
that's
key
part of it. That's
for the
part of
hobby.
it. But that's
You're being a teacher.
Well, that's why we wanted to interview you, because on our program we like to show how it is out in the field. We also like to show the responsibility, and that in fact this hobby isn't an overnight thing, that there were guys like you that have been involved with it for years and years, and we basically want to see that you get the credit that you deserve. We consider guys like you to be pioneers of the hobby.
oh, geez, thank you.
And,
Man, I don't know.
We put you up here with the Bob Trevelyan and the
Yeah.
Frank Carter.
Another great
And
guy.
you know what?
Another
Just
great guy.
he mentions Bob Trevelyan. He's another guy. Him and Frank Carter. We believe they never got the credit that they deserved.
They were pioneers. They were so
Pioneers.
far ahead of everybody else.
Sure.
They were doing videos in the 1980s.
And good videos.
Before
Great.
there was the internet, before there was digital cameras, they were
right.
using the early form of the video cameras.
Oh yeah,
And
all the tape based.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And you actually knew those gentlemen.
Well, I didn't know them. I knew of them, and they knew of me. In other words, we
Mutual
corresponded.
respect.
What
I
was
do have one of Bob's books that he personally autographed to me, and I did meet Frank. I had a chance to discuss some things with Frank one time at a treasure hunt, but other than a few conversations and some correspondence, that's about it. But we knew of each other.
Right.
Okay. But they were definitely pioneers, and I think videos of their caliber are lacking today. And today it's all sensationalism.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would agree that Bob Trevelyan and Frank Carter, they showed how it was in the field. It wasn't all sensationalized.
Right.
They showed how to conduct the hunt. They
Right.
talked about research, all the things that we talked about here today.
We're talking videos that were created, what, 20 years ago?
Oh no, that even longer, 25 years ago or more.
Yeah, and I mean, I still watch them to this day.
Yes.
Sure.
You know, they're great,
Yes, they are.
And
and their books. The books are also
the
great.
books,
I have-
that's right.
I think I have
Publications.
every book that they wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, today they're virtually unknown.
Well, you know that Bob did pass away.
I do
Yes,
know that.
yes.
I do know that. Last I heard, I think Frank is still around.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a guy.
But Bob's been gone for a while.
It's been. I think I saw somebody said on the internet, what, 8 or 9 years?
I would think at least that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
If not longer.
I'm sure today, if he were making videos, he would be big. He'd probably have a TV show. If he didn't.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But we enjoyed speaking with you here today. Is there any further comments you'd like to add before we move on to maybe looking at some items that you're going to show us?
You know, to anybody that's new in the hobby or, relatively new in the hobby, I can think back 20, 30 years ago, and I've read different articles and things where people were saying everything's hunted out, there's nothing left to find. And if you think about how much has been found in the past 20 or 30 years, it's just incredible.
Mhm.
And I see that continuing. I mean, there are so many people on this earth, and everybody's losing things or misplacing things. This hobby can go on for a long time. What could kill this hobby, though, are people that are destroying property, trespassing, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So, if anything, I encourage everyone to be, as honest as they can, as upstanding as they can, and show the world that we're good people. Detectorists are great people. We have a great hobby, and go out there and show that to everyone.
We have to be a good steward.
You
of
do.
the hobby.
Absolutely.
That's right. But I think too that to do that, you should have the right mindset when you go out to metal detect. And that's one thing I actually learned from Bill here is when you go out to a historical site, that don't think, oh, I'm going to find all these items. You should actually, if you find one item
Yeah.
that dates back to the time period that you're interested in,
Yeah.
consider that a success.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I've learned from Bill.
And there's a certain reverence to that. I mean, when you dig up an artifact that's been in the ground for 100, 200 years, whatever,
Yeah.
and you think, man, this is actually time travel.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
right,
what other way
exactly.
can you travel through time
Mhm.
and you go back and you touch that artifact and you wonder who had it, in their hand, who lost it, what the times were like,
Mhm.
and all the intervening years, 100 years have gone
Sure.
by, and that's been in the ground, and you come along with a metal detector and you find it.
Yep.
And you're able to bridge that time.
It don't get no better than that, I want
and
to tell
touch
you.
that
Yeah.
item.
And that's how we come up with the name of our video series,
That's
the
right.
Time Searchers.
Exactly.
Searchers.
Oh, that's a great
Exactly.
name.
We
Super.
think
Super.
such alike.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I told him originally we were going to do the series. I said, you have to have something that has the word time in. And he says, Searchers.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it. That's the name.
Because it is a way of time travel.
And that it is. We're going back in time.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Joe. I wanted to come over here, shake your hand. It's
Oh,
been a
man.
sincere pleasure
Roger, thank you
to
very
have
much.
you on the program.
This was interesting, and
I'll tell you
what an opportunity for me.
Well, it's been a real opportunity for us to talk to
Thank you.
one
It's a great pleasure.
Bill, thank you very
one
much.
of the really one of the big names in the field, and I'll tell you what, Joe, I can't thank you enough for it, and we look forward to seeing some of these other things that you're going to show us later.
Okay, great.
thank
great.
you.
Thanks, guys. You're welcome.